I had snuck out that night. I was riding around in a car and we were drinking. I was riding in the back seat. I had this overwhelming panic attack that literally came out of nowhere of get out of the car and go home. The next morning I get a call. There was an accident. When I was sitting at his funeral, I remember thinking, this is the day that I fixed my life. This is the day that I turned my life around. I was given this second chance and I wasn't going to waste it. I was spared when 3 other people weren't. And so it better be for something. Otherwise, I'm not worthy of that second chance.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the New World Old Soul podcast. Thank you for being here once again as I welcome in my beautiful wife, Mama Melissa.
Mama Melissa.
Mama Melissa is here back in the home studio. We're back this week. We took 1 week off. We had 2 back-to-back guest episodes that we really enjoyed down in Coeur d'Alene. Our thanks once again to Lila Rose and to Nick Freitas. Very exciting news here today as we are once again recording in our home studio. We have a new addition. Melissa's already over here awkwardly glancing at it.
Well, it's glancing at me.
As it is staring back at her. And now let me preface this by pointing out that some of you may find this morbidly obese.
Just morbid.
Just morbid. Correction on my part. I said that intentionally. We have a new friend, a new producer. In fact, we have decided right here in the podcast.
We fired Micah?
Micah will be our secondary backup substitute producer.
He's so much cuter.
But I'd like to introduce all of you to Daryl.
Hi, Daryl.
Daryl the deer is a beautiful whitetail mount that we just received back. This is a whitetail that we were very fortunate and blessed to be able to harvest here on our property last fall.
Let's say, okay, he is not just harvested for his head. We used all of his meat.
Yes.
And we wanted to make sure that we used every bit of them. Usually the heads are hauled off to the dump, and we didn't want that to happen because, again, he was the first buck that we got here on the property. So in order to honor Daryl's sacrifice and for feeding our family, he's joining us in our podcast studio.
Don't mean to make light of this whatsoever. I actually think it's a beautiful mount.
I'm going to get him a Santa hat.
It really is beautiful. The guy who did it here locally did a great job with it. And we weren't really sure of where to stick this here. Like we thought about in our living room. We decided to stick it here because we needed something for the back wall. We've been telling you guys for a long time now that we wanted to do some kind of decor in this room in general, but we really haven't done much. So we have the addition of Daryl here, producer Daryl.
Should we do a Santa hat or like those little fairy, like the colored Christmas lights, the little ones that you could?
I have no doubt that you will do your best with seasonal decor.
Yeah.
When it comes to Daryl. And let me just point out for those of you
to feel festive.
For those of you who may not like this, I know there is probably a small portion of the audience that does not enjoy seeing this mounted buck here in the room. It will be shown very sparingly, rest assured, only for the center shot, which has been awful for a really long time. You guys will see him here. But aside from that, you will be seeing primarily Melissa and I in our mugs up on camera. So if you don't like it, apologies. But I like it. I like it a lot. And I think it suits, just the general mood and motif that we have going on around here. So Daryl, I need you to stop staring at that thing. It's going to make for a very awkward conversation. You keep glancing over there.
He's staring at me. That's all I'm saying.
All right, since we are back home in the home studio, we're going to resort back to our vocabulary word of the day here, Mama. Are you ready for that? And I know you now already know what this is, but you were questioning me about this very term last night because I was suffering with it. Borborygmus. Borborygmus. For those of you out there who may be unaware of what the word borborygmus means, because you are not a gastrointestinal physician of some kind, it means intestinal rumbling caused by moving gas. Now, I get that that's gross, but I thought it was appropriate because this is something that while editing certain episodes of the podcast, I actually have to get rid of because either you or I or our wonderful guests get a little rumbly in the tumbly and it gets picked up by the mic.
Like hunger and stuff?
Yeah. Not necessarily gas, but just stomach noises in general.
Our guests are just really...
Borborygmus.
It's the nerves of being on someone else's podcast.
So if you happen to hear a little borborygmus out of either Melissa or I, know that it is borborygmus.
Thank you.
All right. Now that we got that out of the way.
Okay, moving on.
We have a couple of things that we want to touch upon very quickly here administrative things, if you will. Number one being our 15-year-old son, Kaimani, Mr. Kaimani James, has his very own YouTube channel that he recently started. He has one video out. So many of you were so gracious enough to actually go over there and check it out. Just want to promote that because he's our kid.
Yeah,
So why
and you
would
did
we
a
promote
really
it?
good job with it. It's so funny. So Nevaeh, when she started her channel, she features him and she kind of pokes fun at him. So he is
He's
returning the
returning
favor. And like, yeah, what he did with her, like it made both of us laugh out loud. And she was like, "Take that off." And
No, he did. He did a
left
really
it.
good job with it.
did.
Kaimani is our quiet child. Apparently, that's how many of you view him. In real life, he is not very quiet. He has a lot of
Yeah.
personality. He's more reserved, let's say, on camera.
I
Especially,
mean, people got to see him dancing in Nevaeh's last
that's
vlog.
true. Yeah, that's true. The boy has a lot of spunk
It's
and
got
charisma
some wiggle to him.
when he
So
wants to. So it was really interesting that he decided to do this. I don't always love social media as a whole, but especially when it comes to our kids. We talked about that here in the podcast before. For our channel, we don't like showing them too much or placing any kind of emphasis upon them. So with him doing this, I have mixed emotions, but I will say that I thought he did a fantastic job for a first YouTube video.
yeah,
It was
it's
really
good.
well put together and really well edited, and I'm proud of
Super
him.
funny.
He is now finding himself in the grind. I think he's going to get a second video out this week, either today, Wednesday, as you guys are all getting this, or tomorrow, as I think is maybe what he's planning on, Thursday. So
Yeah.
if you guys are so inclined to go over there, check him out. Give him a like, comment, and
Well,
subscribe.
Link it below. He's got a new video coming out today or tomorrow. So look out for that. Watch the first one. It's hilarious. It's going to feature like our little kids a lot, kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, not a lot, but this next one is featuring them a lot.
Which I don't love, but I will say I'm very proud of him for his creativity. Obviously, our kids are homeschooled. They're very sheltered here. They don't get a lot of exposure to the world. This is an outlet, a creative outlet for them. Our kids are all very creative, I think, is a natural byproduct of actually being homeschooled and raised by us in this very quiet environment here. So it was really cool to see him utilize that creativity to put something together that was very entertaining and enjoyable. So again, if you guys are inclined to go there, like, comment, subscribe, we appreciate it. I'm sure he will as well. We'll see where this goes.
Yeah. Anyway, it's linked below. Go check it out. All right. Now, you guys know that we are writing a children's book. We have partnered with Brave Books to write Meant to be Ludo. You guys helped us name it. Now we need your help picking a cover image. As soon as we have a cover image, we are going to be putting it on Amazon for all of our international folks. Amazon's going to be the place where you can do that. Couple announcements. It is hardcover. This is going to be the actual size.
It's not going to be the actual cover. I know it looks really, really blurry.
You guys are going to help us pick a cover image so that we can get this on Amazon soon. It's going to be in your hands in November. We have sold 1,500 copies of the book so far, which is fantastic. I mean, this is like sight unseen. You guys are buying it and it looks like this. But
So appreciate those of you that have already made the purchase. All of this, again, like Melissa, I think mentioned, is going to CCC, our Pediatric Cancer Coalition that we've been working with. We've been doing this annual fundraiser and toy drive with them this year because we have baby Micah. This is happening in lieu of that. So all proceeds that are raised that would ordinarily be coming to us for writing a book and putting it out into the world is not going to us. We make no money off of this. All of it will be forwarded to CCC. So appreciate those of you out there who have been willing to contribute.
yeah, we have a really long ways towards hitting our goal, but literally if every single person that is watching just this podcast went and bought one $20 book, we would take care of CCC for the next 3 to 4 years. So it shows a massive impact of your giving. So again, we've sold 1,500 books. We have a really long ways to go. We're still in the pre-order phase. These will be in your hands for Christmas time. There is a new option on the website if you don't have a child or a grandchild where you can go over and you can donate a Lovey plush / book combo set directly to a cancer warrior. So there's a new way of giving. So not only does every dollar from those sets go to CCC, but also the book and Lovey combo. We have a goal of getting 200 of the sets to them because that's how many families they're currently serving. And they're expecting to have 50 newly diagnosed kids in 2025, 2026. So we want to make sure as those kids are facing one of the hardest days of their life, they have a really nice comfort package that they're getting. Also, you can buy just the book. You can buy the book Lovey combo. We worked on the Lovey. I made them revamp that Lovey like 20 times. He's weighted. He's the perfect size. I love him.
Melissa's
He's so
poured
good.
a whole lot of effort into doing
Yeah.
this. Proud of you for all the work that you've done and all the time you've committed to doing this.
It's like It's a passion project. I've always wanted to write a book. This one's really good. Great moral. It's going to be adorable. We can kind of sneak you guys some of the imagery like as we go. There's a lot coming surrounding the book. We're still in the pre-order stage. We're still developing it. But again, you'll have it in time for Christmas. Pre-orders are so important because that's the amount that's going to take care of CCC for Adopt a Family and things like that.
Also, we're still doing names in the book.
Yep.
So if you pre-order, you will also have the opportunity to put a name, not necessarily your name, whoever's name you want to stick in the book. And then to follow up on all this very quickly, we are planning on a book tour.
Yeah, so a small book tour. We're going to be going to a couple cities, but also we will be in Spokane at Be Bold for Jesus at the Brave, because we're partnering with Brave. So we'll be at their booth and we'll be hopefully signing books. We're going to try to have books ready, but either way we'll be there.
We both signing or just you just signing? I don't think anyone wants my signature. This is your thing, your book.
I will be there signing books with Kirk Cameron, actually. He'll be there signing his books. So it's a really cool thing to go do and meet us. And
Growing Pains. Love Kirk Cameron.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. So yeah, looking forward to that. We'll have more information for you guys as time moves along. All that out of the way.
Okay.
Let us jump into today's hopefully very entertaining and engaging conversation. This is going to be Melissa's episode. Melissa's been jumping through diving down some rabbit holes.
Well, Micah's been teething, and that means that he wants to contact nap. It's the only way that he's sleeping during the day.
It's the best way to sleep.
If I try to lay him down at all, he wakes up. So I've been doing a lot of being pinned under a baby for 2 and 3 hours with like his face like this. And so I can't do much except for this. And I have found some stuff for you guys. I've been reading some articles. So I want to dive into the article that has kind of gone viral from the New York Times about redefining death and organ donation. Just lighthearted little conversation there. The Wall Street Journal, wrote an article on FAFO parenting, which is essentially F around and find out parenting. It's probably not what you think, so we're going to dive into that a little bit. And then also something that I was accused of when we were doing a thing with Angel. I was holding Micah when he was a newborn, and then there was this whole debate that sparked on it on whether or not the baby was real. So the conclusion was that I was holding a reborn doll and it was silicone. That sent me down into a rabbit hole because people seemed very like, that is her silicone doll. Like this is, and they're like, no, it's silicone. Doll. Yeah, and they were like, no, this is totally normal. So that sent me into a new rabbit hole of this crazy new fad of reborn dolls and the community surrounding it. So we got some topics today.
So weird. So if you guys don't like this episode, this is Melissa's fault.
This is Micah's teething episode.
Let's start with FAFO parenting.
All right.
Little FAFO parenting, Mama. Explain to our audience what FAFO parenting is.
Okay, well, you just sounded like an elder millennial by calling it FAFO parenting.
I don't like that term.
Yeah. So the FAFO parenting, F around and find out parenting. Now, I thought because, generationally parenting changes, right? So there was children should be seen, not heard. Then there was our grandparents' generation, the World War II generation, where a lot of people were like, dads are kind of cold and they're very authoritative, very corporal discipline. Then our parents were the latchkey generation. That's all you grandparents out there, where literally we had a key hooked to our backpack. We let ourselves into the house. Mom and dad were both working. We picked our Christmas presents out of a catalog. They would get, you'd get the catalog. You'd circle what you wanted. We had those parents.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, and I would say like our parents' generation, the grandparents out there, you guys were like not helicopter parents. You definitely let us ride our bikes, walk to and from school, have sleepovers with questionable families. But there were teachable moments in there. You were telling us why we shouldn't do things. There was a lot of discussion. It was before parents looked like this.
Yeah. So frustrating when you see that.
Yes. So our generation looks like this. We also are very guilty, not our family in particular. We don't fall in the gentle category in parenting.
No, we're not gentle parents whatsoever. I am most definitely more so of the disciplinarian. We've referenced that before. But I think we're stern,
not disciplinary in the traditional sense.
We're stern, but to a point, because we are all about establishing expectations, this F around and find out parenting style most definitely is not that. It is very hands-off. And basically, Junior, you go out there and you figure it out for yourself. I'm not going to speak up. I'm not going to intervene. You're going to learn some hard life lessons the hard way by potentially experiencing some pretty severe natural born repercussions.
Now, we've all experienced how annoying gentle parenting is.
Ugh.
Now, I understand that getting down on a child's level when they have something like autism and they're having a behavioral breakdown or an emotional breakdown is important because it makes them feel safe in the space where they have collapsed. I understand that. I'm not talking about that. So before you're like, I have an autistic grandchild. No, I'm not talking about that.
Totally different.
I'm talking about a average child and intellectually, physically, everything, having a complete meltdown over vanilla ice cream that they wanted because now they saw that brother got chocolate chip ice cream and they're no longer wanting vanilla ice cream and they want you to now buy them a chocolate chip cone or they will collapse onto the floor because they have never been told no in their lives. These children are going to be hit in the teeth hard by life because their boss is not going to coddle them in the way that our generation has.
Well, it's a recipe for misery, but with the F around and find out parenting, we're bordering on neglect.
Yes.
Correct? Can we provide some examples of what it is that you've seen online when it comes to this parenting style?
So this is extremely popular on Instagram and TikTok right now. If you're on Instagram, you've probably seen it. We have so-called parenting experts and we have so-called podcasters.
Self-proclaimed.
That don't have any children that seem to think that helicopter parenting, which when you call it helicopter parenting, it sounds really bad, but like over-parenting or overbearing parents is very damaging. And then we should be doing this F around and find out parenting. I thought it was like, do something, I'm going to smack you in the mouth. I thought that's what it was. Oh, no. It's taking gentle parenting to a whole nother level. Like it's literally like hands-off parenting, no teachable moments, no explanation as to why a child shouldn't do something, and then no teachable moments afterwards. So this parenting expert was saying, I love this because this teaches children repercussions where gentle parenting didn't. Gentle parenting, you fixed everything for them.
You coddle.
If they stepped in a puddle, you had clean socks and you were, it's okay, baby. Here's your dry socks.
Yeah, which is okay to a certain extent.
Yeah, it depends on the age of the child, right? But F around and find out parenting is you see the puddle and you're like, do it. But you don't encourage or discourage. You just let the child meander through life and only learn from natural consequences. So she was like, touch something hot, burn your hand, fall out of a tree, break your arm, forget your lunch, starve all day.
Stick a knife in that socket there.
Get electrocuted. So there's literally parents now taking video of there was a baby with, still like I put my hands in my mouth, my fingers are sticky and wet, putting her little finger in a socket and then getting shocked. And the mom goes on, films herself, recording it, posts it, but doesn't ever say at any point, don't stick your finger in the socket because it's an owie.
And we're celebrating this, saying that this is a proper way of going about raising your children.
The outlet taught her the lesson, but there was
for sure. I get it, but that's not something to be embraced, and certainly not something to be celebrated. In my own personal opinion, we were as children of the '80s, we experienced this to a certain extent because we were out and about doing our own thing. Didn't have that parental oversight per se. Woke up in the morning, hopped on my bike, was miles away from home, getting in all kinds of trouble. But if my parent were present, they would most definitely speak up and hopefully keep me from potentially getting seriously injured or burned or cut or name it.
I call this the HOLP parenting style, and it's hands-off lazy parenting. I have never heard something so neglectful and lazy in my life.
It's neglectful parenting. That's exactly what it is.
It's just lazy.
Yeah.
It requires nothing of you. No follow-through, no explanation.
No counseling, no guidance.
Like the hardest thing about disciplining your child is the follow through. When your kid's grounded, so are you. Like, it's true. Like, it's so hard. I think that's why so many parents, like when you remove devices and phones and you are like, you have to stay here and you can't do anything. I got to spend more time with my child now? What? No, but at the same time, like you have to be there to follow through. You have to make sure they aren't sneaking stuff. You have to make sure that they're not leaving the house. Like you're on restriction too.
I don't think that this is something that is necessarily being done intentionally. I think it is completely neglectful parenting because most parents, like you just pointed out, would prefer to just be scrolling the gram, not paying any attention to their child. If it means that I need to be active and present and paying attention to my kid, figure it out for yourself. F around and find out.
So I just watched another one where this mom was watching her child approach a muddy puddle on their way to the zoo, and then he jumps in it, and then she starts laughing at him, and she's like, "Now you're gonna have wet shoes, socks all day."
So are they laughing when their kids are getting hurt? If your toddler is reaching up and burning his fingers on the hot stove, that's something that we're gonna record rather than speak up and say, "Hey, knock it off."
The parenting expert on the FAFO said that you are not to then intervene with an "I told you so" moment. And it's not that it's an "I told you so" because they didn't tell them anything.
It's a reinforcement. Don't do that again.
It's now a moment of like teaching them not to, like, children don't have risk mitigation. They don't have the mental capacity to weigh risk versus reward or whether or not the risk is worth it. That's where parents come in.
Yep.
So it is our job to train up a child, biblically, train up a child in the way that he should go. And that's not just spiritually, it's to guide and lead and educate our children. We are still the boss. It's not that authoritative parenting is bad. Abusive parenting is bad. To hit your child because you've had a bad day and they're doing the same behavior that they do all the time, and you inconsistently decide, I've had a bad day and I have a headache, so I'm going to spank my kid for jumping on the couch even though I've allowed them to do it before. It's not okay.
No.
Or because you maybe grew up in a very authoritative house where you were spanked a lot. Like, I think if you are going to be a parent that spanks your child, you need to use it very sparingly, and they need to understand that you're capable of it and you could get to that point, but don't use it as a tool when you're in a bad mood.
Yeah. I mean, were you spanked as a child? No, never.
No, maybe once or twice. My dad was not a spanker. My dad was a lecturer till you wanted to die. Like, you would not do something because he'd be like, girls, sit down. And we were like, crap, we'll do anything. We'll behave. We swear we will never do it again. Please don't talk to us for the next 3 hours.
So I was spanked. I mean, I got the belt, like old school parenting. And I think that was very generational because I mean, I can't say matter of factly, but I'm pretty confident in making the assumption that's probably how my grandfather handled things when it came to my father. And so, I mean, I think it has its place, but yeah, I think it should be a last resort. It shouldn't be just like, I'm frustrated with you right now, Billy. So come here, you're getting it. Like, no, I'm not saying that. But parenting is a big job. It's a massive responsibility, and it gets more and more difficult with time. To see all of these new parents online spouting off, as the self-proclaimed expert, to me is so funny when either some of them don't even have children. They're just, these intellectuals who have been educated and because of it can now proclaim themselves to be the expert on a given subject. Or it's people with very young children. Like if you've been a parent for 4 years, you don't know all there is to know about parenting. We can say this is people that have now raised a child from birth to age 19 currently. Ironically enough, we now also have a newborn. And so you feel that experience over time. When I hear people speak from this position of authority on the matter, when they're relatively inexperienced, I just kind of chuckle to myself because I'm like, you don't even know what you have in store. What's ahead of you here?
And something else, if you happen to be a young parent watching this, the grandparents are going to love me for this one. When your parent, as a grandparent, says, calm down or reassess the situation or something, and they tell you that when you're parenting, listen to your parent and don't say, well, that's not how you were. Exactly. Yeah. They're using hindsight and experience from raising you to try to give you better advice and so that you don't, because as parents, you're very reflective. All parents are reflective. You reflect when you go to sleep at night. You reflect when your child becomes an adult. And
you feel like crap a lot of times because
you do. And you remember the mistakes that you made. And so when you see your own children, the next generation, repeating the maybe generational trauma that exists in the family, listen to your parents when they're trying to speak to you in a moment of clarity.
Generational trauma. I hate that term, but I get what you're saying.
No,
I think
it exists.
No, life experience matters, right? When we were new parents figuring everything out, because everything was a first for us with Nevaeh, we mishandled a lot of situations. I mishandled a lot of situations, and I learned in the process of having 4 additional children. Like we most definitely got better each time to where now with Micah, that experience counts for a lot. Like I feel it. And I've mentioned this before as well. Like like addressing his needs, the handling of situations moving forward from here on. Like you get better over time, and that's just life. And there may be many of you out there who are much older than Melissa and I who may be listening to me and looking at me, either agreeing or even disagreeing, saying, that I'm still relatively young and naive. And yeah, that may very well be the case, but experience does count for a lot. I'm not saying that as like generational trauma, but when you've been there and you've done it before, you learn there's always something to be taken away from that you can improve upon and apply to maybe your future children. So I just find it so ironic that so many of these people on here, either without kids or with very young children, think that they're in a place to be telling anyone else what it is that they should or should not be doing.
Yeah, and if you're doing FAFO parenting, you're doing it wrong.
Stupid.
So it's literally stupidity, it's neglect, and somebody's going to get hurt or killed. So it is our job as parents to find a happy medium, and every child is different. Every child is different. You're going to parent. If you have 4 children, you're going to parent all 4 of them differently based on their personalities. And
then they'll hate you for it.
And then they'll be like, you parented me different than my brother or whatever. Some kids are just more challenging. They're going to challenge you at every turn. I mean, we had kids that were born negotiators, and we had kids that were born extremely willing to please, and they are parented differently because we have to approach things differently. And we have kids that are more sensitive than others. We know by nature boys are more emotionally sensitive. And yet we tend to, as parents, be harder on boys and think like, oh, boys can handle it. But we actually know that little boys are more sensitive, which is why they're more attached to their mothers at a young age and things like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
So,
and we're not the experts either, but what we have found for ourselves and our children, our family to be the most effective is setting an expectation early on, being consistent with that expectation and upholding that expectation. Mm-hmm. We always do the chats in the car, right? Like if we're going somewhere.
Hey guys, this is where we're going.
It's always best behavior. You know what the expectation is? Please, thank you, yes sir, no
eye
sir,
contact.
Yes ma'am, no ma'am, nice to meet you, eye contact, friendly, smile.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. We
lay it out.
And it's not to uphold anyone else's expectations, but your children become so much more just more of a pleasure to be around when they are well behaved and they're composed and they're able to function and interact with adults properly. What I would say is proper. And we get so many people a lot of times when we show up places of like, oh no, here comes this big family with young kids, and then they're always very pleasantly surprised, seemingly, by their conduct and how it is that they carry themselves. And I don't want to like pat ourselves on the back for that, but that all stems from the fact that we are very clear with what it is we expect from our children.
Well, and it's given us a lot of freedom too to attend a lot of things that a lot of parents might be afraid to attend, because I know that we can walk into
restaurants,
any event or any level of fancy restaurant, and our kids are going to be on their best behavior. And that's been really nice. Plus, our kids are happier in general because they know what the expectation is. And so they're not constantly being confused. Yeah. And kids don't like to live in chaos. And when the reason that gentle parenting kids are having tantrums and falling to the ground and breaking down is because they don't know where the borders are.
They crave structure.
Yes.
Kids crave structure.
And that doesn't mean discipline in like a physical sense. Like when I feel like the whole spare the rod, spoil the child has been used as a tool for abuse for a lot of people. They think like they're being biblical by like whapping on their kids. But when also the rod and the staff, they comfort you, right? In the Bible, a shepherd uses his staff to redirect and educate his sheep, not to thump on them. Oh, yeah, there you go. Right? He's not thumping on his sheep with his staff. He's literally guiding them. Discipline in the Bible and in the Hebrew language is to educate and direct. So our job is to train up our children. Our job is to say, don't stick your finger in the socket because it's an owie. And then if they do it, say, this happened because you made the choice to do that because you didn't listen to mommy. That socket will hurt you next time too. Don't do that again. Now come here. I love you.
Counseling, guidance, reinforcement. All of this seems so straightforward.
Yeah. Now, some parent I don't like because I told you so. I wasn't raised that way. My dad, dare we asked why, it would turn into, he would tell us why.
I told you so all the time.
In many words. You got I told you so.
All the time. Do not question me.
Kids are curious by nature. That's why they stick their finger in a socket. It's why they climb a tree. It's why they splash in a puddle. It's why they want to go out in a lightning storm. You can't just allow your children to go and do things that are dangerous or that could hurt them because, one, they're not learning stuff from natural consequences per se. And a lot of times there is no natural consequence, but the one time, like they could skirt death a bunch of times by running into traffic, but then they don't. So how far do we take this?
Yeah, healthy balance for
Yes,
sure. I'm not saying
healthy
be a helicopter parent, but kids do need that structure and
But
guidance.
if I see you hashtag FAFO,
Oh, it's so done.
I lose respect for you.
What little you showed me about like
It's
oh my
so
gosh.
bad. It's so bad. Like and also if you are like a podcaster or an influencer and you're out there saying, don't helicopter parent, don't do this, don't do that, and you have not yet experienced a parent, the parent that you become, okay, I would say the parent that you think you're going to be dies the second that you have a child and you love that child more than anything, and you realize that they are fragile, they are not disposable, and they are completely irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Things like sleepovers, things like summer camp, things like throw them in the water and see if they'll flip over. Like they show, like, thing.
That's called Hawaii swimming lessons.
Yeah. A lot of these risks, or like letting them go ride their bike through the neighborhood, a lot of these things that you claim you're going to do as a non-helicopter parent, I promise you will reassess when you love that child and you realize that something could happen to them.
Yeah, it's a risk mitigation.
Yes.
You said it yourself, and that's completely what it is. Again,
All right.
just strike a healthy balance, and don't be that helicopter parent, but also like do your job as a parent. Stop scrolling, put the damn phone down, and take care of your kid.
Yes, put the phones down
Ugh.
and then parent, follow through, take the time to explain afterwards, be present. Parenting is a big job when you're doing it right. If you're doing it wrong, it's just lazy. I mean, I just saw that parents aren't reading to their children anymore. Our generation and the next generation that's just becoming parents, 61% said they're not reading out loud to their children. We need to bring the family story time back by buying
GSLbook.com.
GSLbook.com. Okay.
Talk to me about these fake babies, mama.
As a busy family, we've really been trying to eat healthy, but eating fresh can feel very difficult and very inconvenient. So when I feel pulled in 10 different directions or I'm just lacking motivation, it is so easy to choose convenience over health. That was until we found Garden Cup.
Yeah, with Garden Cup, fresh lunches just got way easier. Zero chopping, zero cooking, zero wandering around the grocery store, and zero weekly meal prep or scrambling when you're hungry. Just fresh, ready-to-eat salads, bowls, soups, and even kid-friendly sides shipped directly to us that are ready in about 30 seconds.
We just stocked our fridge with these, and it is so awesome to know that we have a variety of fresh lunches filled with fresh greens, delicious proteins, and tons of flavor ready for the week. And they are also amazing for the kids because they will actually go and grab a protein-packed fresh salad instead of a bag of chips, and I will take that any day.
It's really so nice having all these gorgeous, ready-to-eat lunches, especially when life gets really busy. Also, every week is a new adventure because the variety is so insane and it never gets boring. We can switch things up basically whenever we want.
So if you're like us and you struggle to find healthy, convenient, yet still delicious lunch options to enjoy at home, on the go, at work, or really just any ordinary day where you might otherwise skip lunch, definitely give Garden Cup a try for yourself. Just click the link down below in our description, or you can go to gardencup.com/discount/NWOS and use our code NWOS to get free shipping on your first 3 orders.
Did you know all chips and fries used to be cooked in tallow up until the 1900s when big corporations switched to cheap processed seed oils?
Yeah, today's seed oils actually make up 20% of the average American's daily calories, and recent studies have linked seed oils to metabolic health issues and inflammation in the body. So Masa decided that they were going to do something about it.
Yeah, they created a tasty and delicious tortilla chip with just 3 ingredients and no seed oils: organic nixtamalized corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. These chips not only avoid all the bad stuff, they actually taste incredible too.
Masa is crunchier, tastier, and sturdier than other chips and won't break in the guac. Snacking on Masa chips is nothing like eating regular chips. With Masa, you actually feel satisfied, light, and energetic. with no bloat, crash, or gross sluggish feeling afterwards.
An added bonus is the beef tallow makes these chips much more satisfying, so you won't find yourself uncontrollably binging while still feeling hungry afterward. Masa Chips is beloved by tens of thousands of customers and has been endorsed by industry-leading health and nutrition experts.
So if you're ready to give Masa a try, just go to masachips.com/oldsoul and use our code OLDSOUL for 25% off your first order. That's masachips.com/oldsoul and code OLDSOUL for 25% off your first order. So I did a reel for Angel Studios where I was out in the sun because Michael was born little jaundice. He was just a couple weeks old and he was having sunny time and he fell asleep. So I wandered out to the horses and I was like, I'm going to do my reel because he's sleeping and he's having his 15 minutes of sunny time. Well, people lost it. They were like, a baby's in the sun. And I had him like in his diaper because I was trying to flush the really boobies.
Really boob?
The really boobies.
Really boobin.
The really big boobies.
The Billy Rubin.
I use the really big boobies to flush the Billy Rubin. Anyway.
The really boobin.
I mean, that really helps actually, the breast milk. But anyway, the Billy Rubin, I was trying to flush it from his system. Vitamin D and sun on exposed skin, you need 10 to 15 minutes a day. So I made the mistake of doing a reel while holding him. And then people were like, don't criticize her. That is her silicone baby. And I was like, come again? So then it became a theme of like, no, the baby's not real. The baby's silicone. And someone called it rubber. And they were like, it's not rubber. It's silicone. Be sensitive. Like, you don't know this woman's story. And then it like became a discussion of like, maybe she's going through infant loss. And I'm like, no, this is a real baby. Like, what? Okay.
What are we talking about here?
That sent me into the world of Reborn. So apparently there is a world of Reborn baby dolls.
Reborn is the company, like manufacturer of these
Reborn
babies?
was originally, I think like it's kind of like calling it Neosporin when it's like
Bacitracin. This is a debate in our household.
Or, you know, triple antibacterial. Okay, anyway. Or like calling it a Band-Aid. Well, that's a brand, right? Okay, so Reborn is a brand. We're getting into the weeds here.
It happens every time.
So anyway, Reborn is the brand, but basically there are these silicone babies. They start at $100 where they're like soft bodied and no, that's the cheap one.
No, I know.
Yeah. So they start at $100. Those are like the ones you would buy like your grandkids. Or
and
whatever.
They go up to
realistic baby dolls. They go up to $8,000 and $10,000.
This is like a whole world. There is this subculture of, I mean, primarily women. Are there any guys?
There are a few guys that have Alzheimer's that are finding comfort in them.
Okay, that's a whole separate thing. Because, there is, you could make the argument there is a place for these things when it comes to
It's why they were created.
Okay, that was their original intent and purpose.
So Reborn dolls were created for Alzheimer's patients that were kind of going back in their mind. Because oftentimes when you have Alzheimer's, you go back to the happiest time in your life, which happened to be when a lot of people, I know that's where I'm going to go if I, God forbid, get Alzheimer's. Like, I'm going to be like, give me the Reborn dolls. And it's going to be when they were the happiest. And that's like where they revert back to.
So it brings about a lot of comfort.
So they're giving people with Alzheimer's these Reborn dolls, and they're lifelike baby dolls. They're the same weight and the same texture, and insurance is even covering them. So these $8,000 to $10,000 Reborn dolls have a skeletal structure. They have stuff inside of them that make them feel, even their head, like if you don't support their head, it will just fall back like a newborn's
flops back, yeah.
The toes will curl, the hands will curl.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're going to show you this video here in a second, but this whole subculture that is existing online with these people, these primarily women, are like completely obsessed with I heard one girl going off about the specific designer of whatever baby it is that she was showcasing, talking about like the artistry of it.
Some people collect them. Some people use them for infant loss. Which
what do you think about that?
I don't think that's helping anything. It's hard for me to judge because I've never lost an infant that I've held in my arms and then lost, but it's not real. So I don't know that it
I'm just trying to envision
helps.
if it were your spouse or a loved one and you saw that. I mean, I think my mind would go to a place of concern for their mental well-being. Right. Not to say that they are not in their right mind. However, it just it'd be extra sad to see that.
Because they're now filling a void with something that isn't real.
An inanimate object.
It's bizarre. You're prolonging the mourning instead of going through it as hard as it is. you're trying to put a Band-Aid on it. But that's not primarily what it is. Some people are getting these dolls and saying that they're lessening their carbon footprint. And so that it allows them to be, I'm not even kidding. It allows them to be a parent without bringing more children into the world, or they don't want to experience
those people
that.
are not in the right minds.
Also, there's people that are getting them that are mourning their children being infants. So they have children, but now they're getting reborn dolls and they're taking care of them as infants, and they're having their children.
What about your actual child?
They're having their children treat them like siblings.
No.
So there's one lady on YouTube. She has a whole channel about it. Day in the life.
No, it's a whole thing. There are a bunch of these people, right?
Yeah, they're getting millions of views. Taking my reborn to Costco for the first time, taking them to Walmart, like day in the life. It's 8 a.m. Rob has woken up. We're gonna do morning bath.
But they're treating it like it's their actual child. Like these are benchmarks that we need to capture these moments with this inanimate doll.
They're doing infant photography. They're changing their diaper every 3 to 4 hours. They are transitioning to solids at 6 months old.
With the one girl that I saw, she was forcing like her friends and family to also partake in this charade of treating it like it's an actual baby. Which again, if that were me, there'd be no way in crap that'd be happening.
The reborn family is like one where they're like, there's 2 little girls that are real girls, and then they have I'm not a real boy. And he's buckled into the car seat anytime they go anywhere. She got him a Duna stroller, which is like primo stroller, like a $500 stroller that she gets out of the car, pops it. Like she would never leave him in the car. She would never leave him home. She baby wears him when she's cooking or cleaning.
Okay, we're rambling on. Let's show people what we're talking about here with this video.
Okay.
Relatively quick video, just so you guys know what we're talking about and why it's weird.
So realistic.
Wait, why is there a diaper on the head?
Because she's unboxing.
Oh, okay. Still a diaper?
It's an unboxing doll. Because
it's so realistic looking.
It's like human hair. The skin texture. And watch out how bendy, like just like actually changing a baby the way they flop.
I mean, it's creepy because it's so realistic.
I don't like that one at all.
It literally it amplifies the creepy factor because they are so incredibly realistic.
Yeah.
I mean, at first glance, if I wasn't like paying attention, I'd be like, "Oh, your child, your baby."
Yeah, like one lady sneezed by one of these in Walmart, and then she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." You know, like, I'm so sorry. Like she accidentally sneezed.
A poor lady.
And like the lady's like, no, she can't get sick. Don't worry. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'll back away. And she's like, no, she's a doll. And she's like,
why is she here?
Oh,
never mind. Take it all back.
So like some people will just be like, it's a doll or it's not real. But other people want their family to affirm that it is real, and they're treating
that part. I'm not down with. Like, if you want to get into this as a hobby, have at it. Whatever.
There's a lot that are just collectors, but
that's. I mean, I've got my own personal opinion on it, obviously. But do you? You're not hurting anybody, so have at it. But it's
I think when you're asking other people to pretend, now we fall in that dysmorphia. Like it's like mother dysmorphia.
Again, I'm not going to play charades with you. I'm not going to play make believe with you. If you want to do it by yourself when you're alone in your own room, have at it. I'm not partaking.
But yeah, like when they're pushing it on like their children, and like they're like telling your your grown parents that you're grandparents now.
They should use these for educational purposes. Like when we had the bag of flour in high school.
We had dolls that had sensors in them.
We didn't have that.
Yeah. I did not do well because I took mine with the sensors in it that recorded everything, like head trauma, not having its neck supported. It had a sensor in its tongue, so it could tell if you were feeding it every 3 hours.
You just got an awful report card.
And man, when those suckers would start screaming, I got mine on a long weekend. It was a 4-day weekend. Everyone else just had to have it 24 hours.
Miss Monroe, why did your child experience 14 concussions over the weekend?
My baby experienced 28 concussions and shaken baby syndrome because...
Oh, that's not funny. Come on.
Because...
Took it too far.
No, for real.
Oh.
I got an F on this project.
Wow.
I went to my high school boyfriend at the time's Tolo on the 4-day weekend, and I was baby wearing this baby because I was trying to keep it safe. Well, the boys got a hold of it and they had the doll and they were throwing it. Like this poor thing, like it was being like mosh pitted, like at a rock concert through Tolo at this other school. And my baby experienced a lot of trauma. Like I had to explain it to my home ec teacher, and she did thankfully give me a second go, in which I got an A because I was an excellent mother.
Daryl is staring at you with a scowl of disapproval.
Stop judging me, Daryl.
Should have done better.
Anyway, I had to explain that my baby was hijacked out of the carrier and
Excuses.
abused by high school boys in a mosh pit.
Sounds like some FAFO parenting, if you ask me.
That was that baby found out. All right.
All right. Last topic here on the day is going to be about organ donation, which I know can be a very sensitive topic
Yeah, we're going to
for so many of us. And I want to say ahead of time, let's get this out of the way. I think organ donation is an absolutely beautiful act. There are a number of videos that you can come across online of, like, I saw one of a family that was going up to this gentleman. I think it was at his wedding, and they were hugging and putting their ears up to his chest because he was the recipient of, I think, their son's heart. So how beautiful of a circumstance and situation is that, where you can hear your deceased loved one's heart beating in the chest of somebody else and prolonging their life in the process. Beautiful, beautiful thing. However, there is a dark side to organ donation, as Melissa learned while diving down one of her many rabbit holes this past week. We're going to get into that, but also I want Melissa to revert back and tell a story, something in your own personal history as to why it is that you find this particular subject so powerful and meaningful to you in particular. Can you tell everybody that story of the time when you very nearly perished?
Yeah, we personally know how scary it can be to find yourself unmarried, unprepared, and facing an unexpected pregnancy, which is part of the reason that 1 in 4 pregnancies are terminated. That's 800,000 preborn lives lost every year. And so often it's because of the lie and the narrative fed to young women that their precious young babies are nothing more than a clump of cells.
Yeah, if only every unexpected pregnant mother could see what their babies actually look like, we could greatly increase the likelihood that they would choose life, because ultrasounds double the chance that a mother will choose life. This year alone, over 38,000 babies have been rescued through Preborn's work of making these life-saving ultrasounds available, free, and possible.
And the cool thing is that Preborn doesn't stop there, because they aren't just pro-birth, they are truly pro-life. In fact, they help young women be able to choose life by caring for them as well, by providing counseling, classes, and ongoing financial assistance for up to 2 years after the baby is born. Support that actually makes motherhood possible.
All it takes to be a hero for a mom and to help her choose life is a simple gift of just $28 to sponsor an ultrasound, giving her a chance to see her baby and actually see the precious life that it is. Literally just $28 can save a life.
To help a young woman with a free ultrasound and empower her to make motherhood possible, just go to preborn.com/NWOS or click the link in our description. For just $28, you can give a gift, save a life, and be the first voice of hope that she's going to hear.
Melissa and I have always believed in the power of storytelling, the kind that lifts you up, inspires your faith, and reminds you of what truly matters. This is why we love what Angel Studios is doing. They're bringing us films that honor God, celebrate our country, and instill the values that we can all stand behind. Movies like Sound of Freedom, Homestead, and The Last Rodeo.
Yeah, and Angel also has amazing programming for kids. Literally, the kids' content alone is so worth signing up for if you have kids or grandkids. Our families really enjoyed Young David and King of Kings, and we are loving the Tuttle Twins show as well.
Yeah, we've been sharing with you guys for a few years now about how we love the Tuttle Twins books by Connor Boyack. This show brings the popular series lessons to screen, instilling lessons in liberty, economics, and freedom for kids and families. Plus, it's funny and entertaining.
We appreciate that Angel Studios is delivering family-friendly entertainment that leaves you feeling good, with films and shows that champion faith and self-reliance. We are so happy to support them, and we would love if you would join us as well and enjoy all that Angel Studios has to offer.
Just click the link down below or go to angel.com/NWOS to become a premium Angel Guild member today, and you can stream the Tuttle Twins plus so many other incredible titles right now.
So this is probably the most pivotal day in my life, I would say. This is this is the worst thing that is probably that I've experienced. And everyone's worst thing is their worst thing, right? So, but for me personally, this is the day that like changed everything for me. When I was 15 years old, I had my first boyfriend, and we were raised in a rougher area. I went to a pretty rough school, and we made a lot of questionable decisions in our lives. And so I was making really bad decisions at that point in my life. I was thankfully young, and the repercussions were less than if I had been doing this in high school or college or in my adulthood. I had siblings that made some poor decisions, and so I had some interesting influences. And so I had snuck out that night. I was riding around in a car, and we were drinking, and we were smoking
Smoking reefer.
herbs. So anyway, again, I was a very different person.
And this may
then.
come across as a shock to all of you, but
I
yeah,
know.
Melissa as a youngster during her adolescent years was a very, very different individual.
I sowed some wild oats. I will say that. So I was out, and then I had this. I was riding in the back seat with my boyfriend at the time and his friend. There was a driver and then someone in the front seat. That we were all teenagers and drinking heavily, drinking and driving, and I had this overwhelming panic attack that literally came out of nowhere of get out of the car and go home. I literally would have climbed through the window. I said, I have to go home. My dad's awake. I had like an image of my dad being awake and I'm like, he's going to kill me. Like, I was like, my dad is awake and I have to go home. And he was like, your dad is not awake. I'm like, my dad is awake. I have to go home. I have to like take me. And I was like, take me home. Like to the driver, and he was like, oh, she's freaking out, like take her home, and like, and he was all mad and whatever. So I get out of my driveway, I sneak in my house, nobody was awake, and I laid in my bed, and I was like, the next morning I get a call that there was an accident, and the car they had continued partying for several hours. They had continued drinking, continued driving around, joyriding. They were going, what they estimate to be about 80 to 85 miles an hour, never hit the brakes, took a corner too fast or didn't see that it was a corner. It sounds like it just kept driving straight, hit a series of 3 trees. When they hit the trees, the driver and the other smaller kid in the back seat were both ejected out the windshield. The smaller kid ended up in a tree. The driver was draped over the roof of the car. When the car spun, it spun with such force that my boyfriend flung out the back window head first and was found laying across the hood. So they were all transported to the hospital.
This all happened about a mile away from your home, give or take.
It happened
right?
a few miles from my home, but they had continued.
And the one passenger who ended up in a tree, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think previously in you telling me this story, it took a while to actually locate him. He was that high in the tree.
They didn't even find him until when they were like cleaning up the crash scene and things like that is when they found him, because it started to become daylight and they saw him. He was like in a lower branch. So all 3 of those boys were transported. One survived the crash because he happened to be loading more drugs into the pipe that they were going to smoke, and he was down. Like he was like using like the light from the dashboard or something. And so he went underneath the dashboard and actually only broke his arm. The other 3 were all ejected, and he would have been too. So they were all brought to the hospital alive. 2 were on ventilators, 1 was not. Eventually, they all ended up in comas and on ventilators. But we were in the hospital for 4 or 5 days. And the thing is that I thought they were all going to wake up and recover.
Right.
Because I'm looking at them. My boyfriend had the front part of his skull removed because his brain was swelling from the impact.
Relieve pressure.
To relieve the pressure. And he did have a tear in his aorta, is what they said. They declared all 3 boys brain dead after 4 days. And I was like, what does that mean? And at the time, I thought brain dead meant brain dead. Like there is no reflexes. There is nothing. But now we come to find out that they only checked 6 markers, and that the term brain dead came about in the late 60s. I think it was like 1968 by basically the hospitals that want to or see the benefit of harvesting organs, because they needed some kind of a standard to when it's okay to harvest organs. So that's where we see the term brain dead come in. And so there's different ways that they test for it. One of them is through, is it called apnea, or where they pull the breathing tube? Mm-hmm. But when they do that, the carbon dioxide builds up in the body and it causes the brain to swell. So a lot of doctors are saying if you want to ever see your child or grandchild or husband or spouse get better, maybe don't do that test, because what you're going to do is you're going to cause the brain to swell further and it's going to make the condition worse. Right. So try to avoid that. Say no to that test. So then it makes it harder to declare them brain dead. Really, there's been a lot of people that have been declared brain dead, and then they'll later wake up when their sedation is turned off, or they'll show signs of life when sedation is turned off.
Do you know what tests were run on your friends at the time?
I don't know. And that I've always questioned. And so his mom, all the moms were single moms. All the moms were minority moms. All the moms were on welfare. None of them were paying their own medical bills. And their sons were the prime age for organ donations, which happened to be 14 to 30.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most valuable organs. Those are the ones that you really need. So they weren't organ donors because I think only one even had a driver's license. And his mom was having a hard time making sense of it. I was the most dialed in her life.
Mm-hmm.
So she asked me to go in with her. So at 15 years old, his mom and I are sitting in a room and a doctor comes in. Literally, I can still picture him. I can see the coldness in his face. And he said, he's going to die. We need permission to take his organs.
You said you saw the form that he had with him.
Yeah. I saw on the paper organ donation and I just went, organ donation? He's not dead. Like, no, he's going to wake up. And he was like, mm-mm. And I was like, no, but he might. And he's like, mm-mm. And I said, is there a 1 in 1,000 chance he could wake up? And he didn't answer me. And I said, is there a 1 in 100 chance he could wake up? And he didn't answer me. And I was like, what are we talking about here? And he basically like stopped talking to me because I'm this dumb child, right? He turns to the mother and says, he's going to die today or tomorrow. You need to sign this form. You need to sign this form. Her hands are trembling. And then I grab the paper and I pull it back. And I was like, wait a minute. Is there any chance that he could wake up? And he goes, he's brain dead. Now I know what that entails and what those tests entail. And I wonder, were all three of them truly brain dead? Because for 5 days, all three of them were still warm. Their hearts were still beating. And yes, they were on ventilators, but was there a chance they could have woken up? And then when he said, look, he's going to die today or tomorrow, she grabbed the pen and she signed the paper and he was dead in 2 hours.
Hmm.
And literally it was as we were going home for the evening, they did this. So it was even the time that they sprung it on us, to me was like, okay, everyone's leaving for the day and then we can do this surgery. It was as soon as we left, they took him in for harvesting. And I mean, you could say donation, but I'm using harvesting because I just don't, in my heart of hearts, believe that all three of them were without a single chance. We never once turned off sedation. We never once tried to pull the ventilators. We never once did any of those things. Whether or not they said that they did, I didn't witness that. And for the past 38 years or 37 years, oh, well, I'm not that old, 27 years, sorry, I have wondered if there was a chance that this boy that I loved and that I cared for could have recovered. And if we just failed him by, I mean, it wasn't my choice to make, but like, could I have stopped her? Could I have talked her out of it? Could I have pled with her? Could we have saved one of them? But I remember sitting at his funeral and everyone was going up and they were looking at him in his casket. And I couldn't get up and look him in his face because I felt like I had failed him. And so I sat back in the pew and I could just see the tip of his hat. He had like one of those like hats that had like the little bill. And I could just see the tip of his hat. And I just felt like I failed you. I should have been there. I should have stopped them. And I just had this overwhelming feeling that he had a chance.
Do you know what happened to his organs or what organs were harvested?
I don't know if any were ever donated, but I did ask his mother years later and she was never told that any were. And I thought if anything vital was donated, she maybe would have been told that or had the chance to. So I don't know if they were donated to science or I'm not really sure. I do know that the families received nothing, no compensation. And I do know that the buying and selling of organs is illegal. So you can't say that the hospitals make billions of dollars a year selling organs because they don't sell the organs. What they're doing is they are charging for
the procedure.
procurement
Yeah.
and for the replacement of organs. So it's the procedure that they're charging for, since they cannot legally charge for the organs themselves.
But there's a financial incentive there for them to do this.
Massive financial.
Yeah.
Not a small financial, massive.
I mean, nobody can blame
financial.
you in that situation for, feeling the way that do you believe, so you believe that they had ulterior motives in hitting?
I just wonder. And so I'm not the only ones wondering. So now there's this new study that has come out with RFK saying that, okay, we have some problems here. And it's causing something that is so amazing and is so selfless and is so vital and important for saving lives to now fall. People don't want to be organ donors out of fear, because now stories are coming out about hospitals that are going through with organ donation when perhaps the procedure should be stopped.
Right.
So there's honor walks. When somebody is donating their organs, we've all seen videos of honor walks where the bodies are being walked to donate the organs, and the whole hospital honors this person. It's a beautiful act. The families are there. But there was a case where the family brought litigation against the hospital because the sister noticed that the brother, who had become brain dead from a drug overdose, opened his eyes.
Did they go through with it?
Yeah, I believe they did.
What?
So the hospital said that it was just a reflex. And then the siblings started asking him questions and having him blink, which he was doing appropriately.
So he was responsive.
He was responsive through blinks.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, again, it's just reflexes. But then later they were told that when they removed his breathing tube or whatever, or his sedation, one of the two, it's common when you remove sedation and somebody starts to thrash, that's a sign that something's still there, because they feel like they're being choked. So they'll thrash or they'll pull at their tubes. That he did that. And so then when they found that out, they brought litigation against the hospital. They wanted an investigation. As they started investigating it, more and more stories came to light of people crying, people pulling their knees to their chest, people waking up during organ donation, nurses and doctors walking out of the procedure saying, nope, I'm having no part of this. Also heart rate skyrocketing, which could be fear-based or pain-based, because so often they say we don't need to do any anesthesia because they're brain dead, right?
It's so scary to think about that.
So these
potential. Can you imagine being in that situation, being the patient?
Well,
to where you have this level of awareness, but this is going on.
And there's nothing
sedated. You can do. Oh my gosh.
You're paralyzed. It's literally a nightmare, and it is happening. So to say it doesn't happen, maybe it's rare, but it happens, and it can never happen. So now they are passing stricter laws. They're trying to fix this so that we don't lose the gift of organ donation. But the New York Times wrote this article that because organ donors are becoming more scarce, people are taking this off their license, that we need to now redefine what death is to being hopelessly comatose. They literally want to expand they want to
make that standard more lenient,
not less lenient. That's not going to help. So like if we ever come to the place of being socialized medicine here in this country, or, now like in the UK, where we've seen children pulled off life-saving machines because they're being denied life-saving treatment or further treatment or life-prolonging treatment. Maybe it only gives you another month with your kid, but they're not going to get better, so we're going to pull them off their life support. You now have a panel of people looking at you as a statistic, saying whether or not you are worthy of the cost of medical treatment.
Yep.
So that's why private insurance, yes, it is expensive, but we still in our country have say to a point over our medical decisions.
Yeah, it's so crazy. So this video that we have here, another really quick video, is a family that is making an attempt to advocate for their son who
is an adult,
has been deemed brain dead. What you're going to see is the mother with a cell phone camera confronting the nurse. basically telling her, like, tell it to the camera. Say what you just said to me, to my
She
camera.
told her no. So she said, I don't want my son's organs harvested. He would not want this.
Right.
And she said, I think this kid is 18 or 19, so he's a legal adult. So it withdraws the parents' ability to override the fact that he was an organ donor on his license.
Right.
And she's like, he would not want this. We don't want this. And we don't want his life support.
And the nurse's response is basically,
unfortunately,
well, too bad.
Too bad.
Yeah. Scary stuff. We'll play this here real quick and react.
Speak with who's ever in charge of this hospital. Ma'am, I need to speak with who's ever in charge. You're trying to take my son off a life support and take his organs, and I ask for who's ever in charge.
They have security standing outside for the parents.
I need to speak to the director. I need to speak to whoever is over Larry, ma'am. Okay. I'm asking you to speak to who's ever in charge of over Overland Park Regional Medical Center. I am sending this to the news. I've asked you not to take my son off life support. My son would have not wanted his organs removed.
My son would not want his organs removed.
All parents are
Dad is
here.
looking for the paperwork.
We said no.
Yeah, mom and dad are both there saying no.
And ma'am, please, can I get the director, whoever is over
unfortunately.
You just told me no, ma'am. Can you tell me no on this phone again? Tell me no again.
I am happy to find someone to bring.
No, I want to talk to who is ever in charge of this hospital.
Inconvenient.
This hospital.
Okay.
And the attorneys that is sitting, that's saying that this is okay. That you said that they said this is okay.
Ma'am, I
am
your
asking.
son
I
signed
need
on
them
his
to come in
driver's
and
license.
my
to
son
on
did not
his
want
driver's
that.
license.
And we
signed with
appreciate
somebody.
the gifts that
It's
he's
not.
giving.
He's not
That's
giving
all I
them.
have to say.
Yes, can you go get whoever's in charge? Thank you.
Yeah. So mom's saying he's not giving them. This is her child who she made with her body, gave birth to, and raised. And she's saying, you may not shut off his life support. You may not have his organs, but because he was over the age of 18 and had it on his license, she doesn't get to advocate for him. She's trying to advocate for her loved one. She doesn't want him shut off because she doesn't believe he's dead.
Yeah, the crazy, incomprehensible part of that video is just the nonchalant nature with which this nurse is responding. So like, sorry, we're about to take your child's life, whether you want us to or not. Mm-hmm. Incredibly frustrating. I don't know how you rectify this situation, but it's scary nonetheless, and it's food for thought for all of us.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate because when Nevaeh got her driver's license, I said, you need to make sure you, like, I don't know if they're going to ask you, but if they don't ask you, they're going to make you an organ donor. You must opt out of that.
Which is crazy.
And I never thought that I would be opting out myself or asking my children to opt out of
that. But
it
shouldn't be a situation that you have to opt out of. It should be something that you have to opt into.
You should have to opt into it so they don't get you in a gotcha like this kid probably.
That shouldn't be the default. We're going to take your organs unless you don't want us to.
Yeah, unless you specifically state.
Yeah.
Also,
if you cash that on the form.
If anyone in your family chooses, like especially your parent, they should still have that medical freedom. And with young people, they don't have power of attorneys, where like a spouse might. And it's also unfortunate that we all have to second guess the moral standings of this whole, it's basically an industry now. And because when you put money behind anything, you end up with corruption. When you put a big old B next to this, you end up with corruption. And that can be with vax, that can be with organs, that can be with ending the life of the preborn.
Yeah.
When you put money behind it, corrupt things start to happen. And then thinking that you're going to fix it by expanding, New York Times, by expanding what is considered dead is just further going to scare people and further spit on the sanctity of life and make more and more people start saying no to this. What we need to do is come up with moral standards, make sure that people are truly, truly never going to be able to come back. We need to fix what is considered brain dead because right now we have neurosurgeons going online saying brain dead is a lie. Mm-hmm. And I have personally seen people get better.
We actually have a clip of a guy saying exactly that, but we're running long here.
Yeah, so we're running along here. So we'll end it at that, but it's just something worth considering. I really do hope that they fix this because I don't want to see so many people scared away from it. I don't want to see everyone having to tell their children to take this off their license. But when you watch a video like that, it makes you question
Can we close on this note? You told that story about how you very nearly were involved in this very horrific traffic collision that resulted in the death of the people that you cared about.
Yeah.
Transformative occurrence in your life. You do. I mean, I know this. You attribute God for sparing your life on that day. Yeah.
Yeah. Personal testimony that day. And I mean, I think the experience of being in the hospital and then sitting at the funeral, it was, when I got back in bed, I felt relief, and I didn't realize what that meant. When I found that they were in a car accident, I guess I was angry in a weird way that like, I felt kind of like, well, why me? Why was I not there? There was like a weird anger, around it. And then, which is just grief, I think. And then when I was sitting at his funeral, I remember thinking, like, this is the day that I fixed my life. This is the day that I turned my life around. I was the new school year was starting, and I was like, I'm not going to underage drink, and I'm never going to touch another drug in my life, and I haven't. So I know a lot of people think that like different drugs aren't a big deal and everything like that, but like I made a deal with God. Like, you spared my life, and I'm never going to touch these things. Like, I'm never going to do these drugs again, because I felt like that's what killed them. And I was given this second chance, and I wasn't going to waste it. And it took something completely tragic to wake me up. But that was really his funeral, sitting there alone at the rock bottom, at the lowest moment of my entire life, at pain so deep. Like, I can't even express the level of pain. When I got the call the next morning that he had died that night, I went into my room and I started sobbing to such a level that like I couldn't breathe. Like, I couldn't make sense of it. It hurt so bad that I didn't. And I think anyone that's ever lost anyone, and you get into this state of where you just like everything stops and like there's nowhere to go. It's just, you can't hear, you can't see. The level of pain that you feel in that moment is so deep. Like, I couldn't even breathe or catch my breath. And then sitting at his funeral, I was so numb. And I remember looking at his mom, and she's crying, and looking at his family, and looking at all these people sitting around him. And I just felt like, I can't waste my life. I'm looking at him and I'm like, this all has to be for something. And that is the moment when, like, yes, I was raised a Christian, but that was when I was like, I'm going to live for this. And like, you know, like Nick pointed out, dying for something is different than living for something. Living for something is taking action.
Yeah.
So I decided, you know, like, I'm going to live and be an advocate for people, you know, especially people that can't speak up for themselves. The preborn became my mission in high school. Just trying to do anything I could with my life to make it worth something, because I was spared when 3 other people weren't. And so it better be for something. Otherwise, I'm not worthy of that second chance. And so that was really a pivotal moment for me. And I think a huge part of why I try to serve, and I try to make my life mean something. And now I get to live that through my children. So I try to instill this servitude in our children too. Like, you need to go out there and you need to do something. You need to stand up for right. You need to speak righteously. You need to be a doer, not just a sayer. Like, you need to go out there and make a difference in the lives of people, because your life is valuable and it matters towards other people's lives that are valuable. Otherwise, it's all for nothing. You're just existing. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the moment that happened. But I mean, it was a horrible experience. I don't wish it on anybody, anyone that's ever lost anyone. And it was a boyfriend. Like, I can't even imagine somebody that loses a child or a parent. Their level of pain is so much more heightened than even what I experienced. So, you know, like when it comes to pediatric cancer and supporting these families, the level of desperation that these parents feel, there isn't an aspect in their life that is not touched. And I think it's so important for all of us to keep it into perspective and to make sure that we're living our lives to mean something.